Hi, my name is Nurul Fatihah binti Malik.
Hi, my name is Sofia Batrisha binti Zulkifli.
Hi, my name is Aisha Nafisa binti Nashrizam.
Hi, my name is Audrey Adeline.
Hi everyone, today we will be presenting about the minimum wage in Malaysia. But before we go further in details, I would like to introduce the definition of price control, which is related to our topic of discussion today. So price control, it is a governmental restriction on prices that can be charged for goods and services in the market. Some examples for goods are books and cars, which is an object that can be seen and touched. As for services, some example of it includes transportation and education, which cannot be seen. Next, price control, it can also be defined as the process of fixing price at either the minimum price or maximum price. However, our main focus today would be the minimum price control, which is the minimum wage set in Malaysia.
Next, what is the concept of supply and demand? So based on the law of supply, as the price increase, the quantity of supply also increase, and this shows a positive relationship. Next, for the law of demand, as the price increases, the quantity demanded will decrease, and this shows negative relationship. So next we'll discuss about how the equilibrium price and quantity are determined in the market. So firstly, the equilibrium price is the amount of good that buyers want to buy equals to the amount the seller want to sell. And it can be found at the point of intersection between the demand curve and the supply curve. So at this point, the market is perfectly balanced and there is no pressure for the price to change. Next, what is surplus? So surplus occur when price get high, more of the good is supplied than demanded. So when extra supply will cause the seller to lower their price so that they can sell the excess goods. So we can conclude that surplus occur when the quantity of supply exceeds the quantity demanded. Next, shortage occur when the price is too low, more of the good is demanded than supplied. So the extra demand will cause upward pressure on price. So the buyers are willing to pay more to get what they want. So we can conclude that the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity of supply when shortage occurs. So for the next slide, I will show you a graphical representation to help you understand more about equilibrium based from what I said from the previous slide. So, as you can see from the graph, the demand curve slopes downward from left to right. Meanwhile, supply curve slopes upward from left to right. So, the point where these two curves intersect indicates the equilibrium point.
Moving to the next part, I'm going to talk in detail on minimum price control. What does actually minimum price control is and how it is implemented by governments. So, a minimum price control, also known as a price floor, is a government-imposed limit that sets the lowest price at which a good or service can be sold. It is established above the market equilibrium price to ensure producers receive a minimum reward for their efforts. Governments implement price floors to stabilize markets, protect producers, and ensure fair income. For examples, agricultural price supports and minimum wage laws. So in my section, I'm going to talk in detail on minimum wage laws. What does minimum wage laws do? Minimum wage laws set the lowest legal amount that employers can pay their workers. This ensures that workers receive a fair, livable income. According to the article that we have found, since 2022, the government has set the minimum wage for workers as 1,500 nationwide for Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan. So, we can conclude that the government set 1,500 as the price floor. So below is the history of minimum wage from year 2013, 2016, 2019 and 2022. Based on the graph shown here, The equilibrium point where the supply and demand meet is when the number of workers is 129 and the wage rate is 1,350, which you can see with the green color line. So, how we determine the minimum price is by drawing a horizontal line above the equilibrium point, which is in purple color. There it shows that the minimum price is 1,500. Here are the pros and cons on minimum wage. The advantages: first, workers who are employed at the minimum wage earn more, improving their standard of living and reducing poverty. Second, can lead to higher productivity and employee satisfaction. However, the disadvantages: potential increase in unemployment among low-skilled workers and higher operational costs for businesses. First, employment. The higher minimum wage may lead to a surplus of labor where the quantity of labor supplied exceeds the quantity demanded, resulting in unemployment, particularly among low-skilled workers. Lastly, higher operational costs. Businesses face increased labor costs, which might lead to higher prices for consumers or reduce hiring.
Let me explain to you about the effect of minimum price control. A minimum price or price floor set above the equilibrium price leads to a surplus in the market. In the context of the labor market, this means that the minimum wage is set above the equilibrium wage rate where the supply of labor exceeds the demand for labor.
Now let us see how the minimum price, which is the minimum wage of labor, could affect the labor market. I will explain it by using the graph that has been explained by Aisha previously. Generally, we know that when a minimum wage is set above the equilibrium wage, it leads to a situation where the quantity of labor supplied exceeds the quantity of labor demanded. Now, let's assume the equilibrium wage is 1,200 ringgit, where the labor supplied equals to the labor demanded. In other words, there are no shortage and no surplus in the labor market. However, when the government sets a minimum wage of 1,500 ringgit, which is above the equilibrium wage, a surplus will occur. At 1,500 ringgit, more workers are willing to work because the wage rate is higher. Hence, the quantity of labor supplied increases. Now, by observing the graph, we could see when the wage increased to 1,500 ringgit, the quantity of labor supplied increased from 125 to 150. Therefore, it is proven that the labor supplied increased. On contrast, when the minimum wage is set as 1,500 ringgit, less employers are willing to hire workers because the cost of hiring a labor is higher. Hence, the quantity of labor demanded decreases. And from the graph shown, we can also see when wage increased to 1,500 ringgit, quantity of labor demand decreased from 125 to 100, which proves that the quantity of labor demanded decreased. Therefore, this situation is called the surplus of labor market, where more people are willing to work at 1,500 ringgit than there are jobs available at that wage rate. Hence, it is explained how minimum wage could cause a surplus in the labor market.
Next, let me continue with the consequences of surpluses such as unemployment, waste, reduced consumer welfare, and market inefficiencies. First is unemployment. The surplus of labor translates to higher unemployment. Workers who are willing to work at the higher wage cannot find jobs because employers are not hiring as many workers due to increased costs. Next is waste. The labor resources are underutilized, leading to economic inefficiency. This waste labor could have been productive if the market would allow to function without the price floor. Furthermore, reduced consumer welfare. Higher wage might lead to increased production costs of businesses. These higher costs are often passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices for goods and services, reducing consumer welfare. Lastly, market inefficiencies. The natural equilibrium of the labor market is disrupted, leading to misallocation of resources. Employers may resort to automation or other cost saving measures, further reducing the demand for labor.
Since we have come to the end of this presentation, I would like to summarize everything briefly. Now that we know about the concept of minimum wage, it is very important to understand this concept. This is because by setting a minimum wage, poverty and income inequality can be reduced, which can have a positive social and economic effects, where it can create a smaller gap between the highest and the lowest earners within the society, and this is indirectly leading to a more stable society. But other than that, when a worker earns a sufficient income, which is when the government sets a reasonable minimum wage, they can afford to spend more goods such as groceries. Therefore, they are indirectly increasing the demand for the goods in the market. Hence, it can lead to an economic growth and a greater market stability. Now, last but not least, the policymakers, which is the government, they should decide wisely about the amount of the minimum wage, as if it is set too high, it could lead to an unemployment and business closure due to the inability to hire new workers. However, if it is set too low, it would not give any benefit to the social and economics. Therefore, policymakers should find a balanced minimum wage that could both support the workers and the employers. Now that's all for our presentation about the minimum wage. Thank you for listening.